Deeper and deeper we go into the top cut as we come to the almost conclusion of the entire season, as we are closing in on that road to the World Championship. 2 matches stand between these players and a spot at the World Championship, and of course the actual European final as well is still to be crowned as the champion. And we see Joo Ho here going first with a set 4. Looks like full combo to me.
Yeah, almost. But on the other hand, of course, we mentioned during the playoffs, interestingly enough, when Dinka was playing this deck, that he was facing his other creation, which is the Runic Furier Sprite. And in that case, it was a show-off of why Dinka is one, if not the best player in Europe at the moment. And this is still a very intricate matchup, a lot of interactions and a lot of different points where to actually use your Runic cards. Let's see.
Starting off with a flashing fire here to special summon. And we are off to the races with our runic portion of the engine here. Joo Ho with 4 set cards and lots of disruption potentially waiting back there. Of course, the notorious set of an Eradicator Epidemic Virus potentially could be in the works, and lots of Game 1 blowouts available, such as Skill Drain, Gozen Match. Very powerful cards against all of the meta, and particularly in this matchup here.
So here, David seems like will activate Fountain, and maybe just Fountain, it looks like, as chain 1. Yeah, not going for the Yugen, just gonna draw a card. Maybe he has both copies already in the end.
Could be, potentially, and maybe just trying to test the waters here to see what we've got in that back row. Quite a monster-heavy hand, and that is a Gozen Match.
And this might be very, very impactful here, because it doesn't seem like, as David started things off with a strong hand, we have to assume.
Absolutely, but I mean, you never know with the Labyrinth deck, and as you can see here, it seems as if Sprite Starter has been chained, which also made me wonder why you would not just chain the Gozen to the Fountain by that point, you know? If you're just going to use it when it resolves, you give your opponent 1 extra chance to pick up something that they can chain to it, I guess. But
yeah, potentially. But Erpen has opted to bring out a Jet from the deck here, and the reason is to chain that is because on resolution of the chain, the Gozen Match will then resolve, and at that point you have to send away one of the monsters. And by chaining, it means that on the new chain you can activate the Jet by keeping the Dark attribute as your attribute of choice for the rest of that. We've got Skill Drain.
Wow.
I did tell you it was full combo.
Fair enough.
Only Heavily Prison is missing, and then...
Yeah, Skill Drain is draining a lot of the skill out of this matchup here by a mere 1,000 life point cost, and it's going to be a bit of a grind here for Erpen potentially to come through this. We still haven't seen Joo Ho activate any of our Labyrinth cards to access some engine to start applying pressure. Could still be here in the works, however.
Obviously, the Runic deck has some engine outs to this, with 3 copies of Runic Tip and Distraction, but it doesn't seem like David has access to those yet.
Yeah, it doesn't
and
seem like that.
Just passed.
Gonna go end phase.
Wow,
Big welcome.
What an end.
No Ash Blossom in response from Erpen, and special summons the Silver Castle from the deck here, bouncing it to the hand.
I mean, you go first, you open this kind of hand. Oh yeah, David just picked up his cards.
Incredible.
Wow.
Game 1 match point. Well, not match point, but going into siding now as we take a look at the analysis for that game. Yes,
quick
that's,
one.
That's a quick one. But
that's the advantage of this sort of Labyrinth-style deck, right? You just set up some floodgates.
Sometimes you just win like this. I'm just wondering whether was it really necessary to scoop there? Because, like,
I mean, time as a factor. It's dragging out a game that you're 2 floodgates staring down at you, so you're going to have double destruction tip potentially at some point to try get going, maybe.
I agree with that, but at the same time, Skill Drain also makes it so that the Labyrinth deck also cannot, you know, snowball out of control. And even just a single Runic Tip, if they cannot deal with the Fountain, you get a lot of advantage. And I feel like even if the game drags longer, it's the Runic deck that has an advantage, because obviously if time is cold, it has more options compared to the Labyrinth deck at the end of the day. So I don't know, I just feel like David maybe was just done with the game, or maybe was frustrated by how the situation was and just wanted to clear and access his side deck. Yeah, because I mean, that's what it is regardless, but there are some cards which are pretty useful in this matchup.
Yeah, this is one of the weaker points, I suppose, of playing against a non-sort of monster-heavy deck, which most of the meta is comprised of. There's so much stuff in Erpen's main deck that's pretty much useless against the Labyrinth archetype. So we're going to be citing out a lot of things. Like Nibiru, the Primal Being, is in the deck here. Probably not even physically possible to achieve 5 summons in Labyrinth.
I mean, he has 3 Bells and 3 Ash Blossom that will go in for sure.
Those are going to come in and potentially be quite devastating.
Yeah, Ash and Bell are among the best cards, because as you could see here, yes, obviously Gozen and Skill Drain are really good, but you need to win the game with your monsters, and you access them through cards that can be negated by those, and you only play a few. At the same time, though, it's worth mentioning that Joo is playing a trap-heavy version of the deck, which usually require your opponent to play cards like Cosmic, Feather Duster, Evenly Matched, and I think none of those cards are in the deck. Maybe they're evenly in the main deck, but we can check that. But from his opponent, David.
I think the most important sort of tool that I'm looking at for Joo Ho here is that he has main decked actually the copies of Sphere Mode.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is specifically better against this version of Runic than the Live Twin one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good against both, but they can't really afford to do much. Regardless, though, it seems like David will now go first after a nice handshake. Let's go into game 2.
Starting off game number 2, David Erpen wants to absolutely go first here and set up that formidable for higher end field that we've seen numerous times throughout this tournament. And yeah, wanting to generate as much advantage as possible with your multiple draws off of Fall Gold, the Runic Engine, and try and dig for some ways to stop the Labyrinth deck from getting going. Multiple copies of Bell and Ash going to be very clutch, potentially against something like Big Welcome.
And we talked about is also, I think the consistency of this deck is, I think, a slightly less consistent as the Runic Live Twin, but it's more explosive on one hand.
Yeah.
And I think here he started things off very well with the dig, so let's see if he can put up, you know, some of his, you know, 4R engine, but having the Runic as well will be very powerful. On the other hand, still, as you mentioned, there's the Sphere Mode in Joo Ho's deck, which might help him out a lot, but seems like as David drew into a full monster hand.
Yeah, and all of the Furriers as well. Double Fossil Dig and the Beat. Wow.
Yeah, ideally these are the cards you want to start tutoring out of your deck more so than anything, and the Beat is still going to be able to achieve some sort of an end field here, but yeah, these are typically cards that you want to be searching from your deck rather than opening here, so not the complete optimal start from David, especially after being drained and gozened in game number 1.
Okay, now we see an interesting card not played by every single deck this weekend, which was the Mayhem Furier. The rookie is obviously must, but playing a second target is somewhat useful. It's basically a monster reborn for the archetype, special summoning a Furier in defense from the graveyard.
Yep, so Beat resolves to get the Rafale to the hand, and that's going to be able to dig further into the deck potentially for some more tools to deal with Labyrinth getting its engine going. And we talked a little bit about this before. I suppose like this was one of the major disadvantages, I suppose, of the For Hire deck compared to the Live Twin deck. You know, that consistency, while it does have so much explosive power and multiple draws, it's just not as fluid between the two archetypes as maybe the Live Twins are.
Yeah, it can be a double-edged sword, I mean, in that sense.
Yeah, especially against Labyrinth, I feel like the Runic engine is even more important. Like, you really need to access that to be able to win the grind game. And here, interestingly enough, I think we see a sprint that will activate the effect to send yet another target that you can special summon back with the Mayhem, for example, which is why he's playing the second copy of a Furrier spell in his deck.
Situations like these, it does help to play, you know, some of the extra cards like the Mayhem, as you mentioned, just because if you do draw the one-off target, then you have something else to work out in your favor as well. And the level 2 scent is Dompa here, which is a key component of accessing Folgo, as that lets you pop a face-up card that your opponent controls and draw in the process. Now we're going to activate the Dino Rex from the Graveyard here to special out the Dompa.
Yeah, but I think he requires a Furier. Yep, and he cannot do it.
Yeah.
As you can see, he requires a Furier to be activated. The judge luckily catches it, and it doesn't really matter because he has access to the Mayhem. I think I would have gone for the Dompa, but I mean, it doesn't really matter too much.
Should work out the same way. We just have to use the Mayhem for hire instead here after resolving.
Yeah, what he can do now is obviously special summoning afterwards the Rafale from the end and essentially go into what is a smaller pot of duality to just look at the top decks and fish for a Runic, most importantly, I would say.
Yeah, the synergy is still there between the decks. Maybe not as much as Live Twin, but there is obviously a lot of connection between the two archetypes here, as you are able to draw into, rather draw between each other.
Let's see what he's gonna take from the deck. This is really important. It's Bell, oof, and no Runics yet, but I mean, Bell would be pretty nice. Instead, no, he goes for the Sprite Red. Interesting. Probably, yeah, that goes back to the deck.
Yeah, the Ghost Bell should be put back into the deck. I'm sure that'll be picked up in just a moment. Okay, while that gets sorted in just a moment, we're gonna link summon into our Folgo. Yep, there it is. The bell has been caught there.
Yeah, the Ghost Bell has to be shuffled back to the deck.
Please. Okay, for now, we've got Folgo here, and special summoning out the Sprite Red as we control a Link 2. All right, as this conversation happens in the background,
Yeah, they're gonna fix it in a moment.
So, do you think Labyrinth is decently positioned going second?
I think so, surprisingly enough, from trap decks. Usually, you know, back in the day, you would think they would usually just win going first, but thanks to addition, of course, such as Sphere Mode and obviously Kurikara, Lava Golem, you have a lot of options going second. And even if that's not the case, you can play, I guess not in this end, but usually you can play the Dinka strategy, which is just passing, but without any Runics, actually, that doesn't work, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, you have to activate any Runic cards, but we might try and overlay. Yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the Sprint, utilizing it as a material. XC summoning with Link monsters truly makes you wonder, huh?
Yep.
All right, special summoning out the deck here for the Sprite portion of the engine, getting into the blue. And we're going to have a decent setup here of the blue into Jet, potentially for a starter or the banishing of Smashers.
Yeah, he can set up, you know, Carrot alongside it, and overall the goal is pretty clear. Hopefully the decision to not go for the Bell instead is not going to cost him the game. What you can do is probably play around, as mentioned, the Sphere Mode as much as possible. Instead, he's going to have the interruption on field with the Carrot.
Yeah. There's a, you know, compared to the Live Twin strategy, I think it's a little harder to play around Sphere Mode in this type of, in this version of the deck.
Yeah.
As we, yeah, looks like we're setting up that red. No Runic cards, unfortunately, for David.
There it goes! Wow!
I love the way he pointed at them.
That's crazy!
All right, yeah.
I mean, Sphere Mode going second and Prosperity. What a brutal start to this match from...
Huge!
Yeah.
Oh no, that's fantastic, yep. So, Pot of Prosperity, gonna dig for 6 here. Not a deck that you particularly care about the extra deck in, and you're more than happy to rid yourself of 6 cards from your extra to rely on the lovely ladies as well as those trap cards. Let's see what we can pick up here off the top. So yeah, it's a pretty bad situation because not only have you like extended into sphere mode, you know, necessarily, but also because it wasn't like the full combo that also gave you draw follow-up.
My only concern, as mentioned, wow, and a lot of interesting pickups was if you go for this line instead, you're gonna have the carrot on field instead of a bell in hand. So if you get sphere mode, you could still hold the bell to at least slow them down, and I think that was worth considering from David, maybe.
Potentially, but at the same time, sphere mode is, I mean, it's a very specific card that you would have to know your opponent's playing right.
I mean, I guess, but you probably expect, like his Lava Golem does the same, you know, those kind of cards probably are in there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, or super polymerization, as we are seeing, I guess. Now, interestingly enough, we actually go for Arianna. Wow. Because you already normal summon.
Yeah, we can't normal summon actually. Joo Ho has.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's really whiffed that. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Because he had the welcome labyrinth available.
Yeah. You can really see the frustration there, not realizing what he's done now.
This is quite unfortunate actually from Joo, and
we'll see if that actually ends up becoming relevant. But yeah, not having that access there is quite detrimental. It is something that you naturally forget. You don't really sort of click on that, oh yeah, I've actually normal summoned this turn by giving my opponent a sphere mode, but...
And unfortunately only one face down, and you can see, as you mentioned, Joo really not happy with himself. But David now, once again, back, he can try to play, and now he has access to the rookie, as he only added the Mayhem, and he's playing a second target for the Rex, potentially. Let's see if he's going for it. Yeah.
No skill drain on the side of Joo Ho here, and did have an option to pick it up potentially alongside the Prosperity, so curious to see what this set card is. Yeah, this is really rough because he set himself back an entire turn now.
Yeah, and now obviously sphere mode can be used to make the Donner potentially.
Okay, sadly not using sphere mode's effect, but we'll see that one day, I'm sure.
Yep, and Donner comes down, obviously one of the best cards here, played by a lot of different decks, such as even Kashtira, but here realizing its full potential, which, as you can see, can be used to...
Yeah, really versatile as a card, you know, played in many other decks just outside of Far Higher. I think it's supposed to Ibli... no, not Ibli. There's...
No, you can just use it, to get it. No, it is also for Ibli, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So, lots of, you know, ways to utilize Donner.
But in general, any monster, even against, you know, when... For example, they give you a monster with Mannequin Cat, you can use it. It's really useful to just get rid of a monster. Or a Nibiru token, I guess, A lot of different ways to use the card.
Reviving back the Folgo here with the Dompa. No face-ups as of yet to be able to pop to trigger the Folgo for the draw 3, but I'm sure that might come into play on the next turn.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I think we're just verifying something on the Folgo here from the Donner Revival.
Yeah. No, it can be summoned because it doesn't say in defense, so you can totally do it. It's only Mayhem that special summoned back in defense. And wow, here we see one of the cards from the side deck, which is the Spell and Trap Negation, and the useless copy of Rookie in the end can now actually be used to negate this...
we got Destruction as well.
Card, yeah. So now he's gonna go and negate it with the Wiz, discarding this Rookie, and then he's gonna be able to draw 3 cards. Crazy stuff.
Is it even worth chaining Welcome, do you think?
Let me read Wiz 1 second, because I don't know if it destroys. In that case, you wouldn't be able to banish from...
Oh, Ashing Folgo here. Yeah, let's double check on the draw of Wiz here.
The activation, and that's it.
It doesn't destroy? Yeah.
Okay, so we shouldn't be able to trigger Folgo here? If it doesn't destroy?
No, it's still destroying, you know? So it's like...
Sure. Okay. Yeah, Wiz coming down here in game 2, sided in, by the way, not main decking Wiz. A lot of, you know, Far Higher players opting to put that in your side deck because, you know, main effect, I suppose, for some people potentially is the manipulation of life points when closing in on time, especially with Runic. No battle phase, you do get a long grind game occasionally. But yeah, against Labyrinth, very, very relevant with the Spell and Trap Negate.
This is a nice one. Usually it only reveals 1 or 2 cards. Now it's going to be able to reveal 3 off the top.
Oh, another Ash Blossom.
Ash is great.
And we have Runic access too. That's pretty good Rafale.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you have so many options available to
He
you
has
here.
the Rex in hand, which is also really nice because it means that he can pretty much negate any card considering Rafale and Wiz are on the field.
Okay, opts to go for Ash Blossom instead.
I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
makes sense.
deny your opponent of any access to their engine.
Yeah, I totally like it. Because the thing is, Rafale and Wiz both represent, you know, Monster and Spell and Trap negation. You discard the Rex, and once in graveyard, the Rex can be used. So that's a great combo. You could even make a Masquerena. Let's see. I mean, you have a few options here. Masquerena, Mannequin Cat, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, like we said, Joo Ho being able to, or digging for that Ariana instead without misplay really could cost him now.
The only thing that I am not a big fan of is once you set up the Wiz, you did not activate a Runic, so why did we not just enter battle phase and try to OTK? And if they activate that, we just negate it with the Wiz, you know? Instead, he went for the Runic Destruction, kind of greedily, I guess, trying to draw free, but we could have just gone for a game.
Yeah, because there was definitely no Runics activated turn 1, right?
Yeah, at all.
So we could have done a little bit
So
more damage
I
there.
think we could have just tried to attack for game, and literally, like, the set card doesn't matter because we negate it with the Wiz. So, I mean, can't blame David, obviously. I'm pretty sure he felt devastated after that Sphere mode. He already imagined himself losing Joo Ho swiftly, and now instead he's back on track and actually on the driver's seat, I guess.
Yeah, so much to the game here, not just how you build your deck, not just how you play your cards, but also keeping your composure, especially this deep into Top Cut with so much on the line, so much to play for, and I bet that this means a lot to the players here.
My question is, with 3 cards in hand, we know one is Ariana, right? Your opponent does not set anything else. Do you expect a second Sphere mode?
I think there's a world where that happens, right?
I mean, there should be a world where that happens. But okay, now we see the Lady, but I think actually he cannot.
Because he negated the trap, right? Yeah.
Just check if there's a difference between negating
Activation
the effect and
was
the activation.
negated or the effect?
Yeah, definitely negates activations.
Yeah.
Alright, it seems to have been spotted. No, actually.
Yeah, they should probably let them know. And
yeah, there you go. They're just clarifying this here with the Wiz effect on the.
Yeah, the activation of the welcome was negated, and as you can see, he couldn't use the Lady. But luckily now they fixed it, and we are back with Ariana being normal summoned.
Okay, so with the normal summon of the Ariana, we can go into our deck here and look for another copy potentially, and ooh, okay.
Yeah, in the meantime, I think we can go back to us while they fix the situation.
No,
yeah, obviously, I mean, they gotta.
I think that was a game loss.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, they gotta talk to their judge before, obviously.
I just saw the fist bump and I assumed it was over.
No. It's not.
They're just saying hi.
Yeah, they're just friendly match going on. But obviously, as in a previous situation, we had the similar thing from Joo Ho. It will be obviously reviewed by the judge whether it's an upgrade, as you mentioned, into a game loss coming from a second PA minor for you know, illegal activation or whatever you want to call it. But in the meantime, they will have to wait for the call. What do you guys think of how this matchup is developing in general? Do you think one of the decks have an advantage, or is it just, you know, who goes first and sets up?
I mean, I'm just more focused at the players here. They've really you can tell the nerves are there. Like that, we've seen a lot of misplays. And
it happens. I mean,
yeah, of course, but it's such a high pressure game here, and it's really dawning on the players just how important this is. So
I mean, it's more surprising than not. Even yesterday, of course, when we analyzed the best 32 players in all of Europe, which technically these are the best 16 for the European Championship, but obviously it's a different thing at the playoffs. Once we got to the final matches, you could tell that they also were nervous, and when you get closer to your goal, and in this case the World Championship, it's very tough to play. Even more to play on stream,
Yeah,
so
100%.
it's very rare that everyone doesn't play perfectly or whatever. The real thing to do is just keep your composure and take your chances when you're offered some, which is the case because honestly, by the way the game was going, after game 1 where David just picked up his card almost immediately, he goes first, sets up a good combo but without access to the runics. The first card, Sphere Mode. I think you're devastated inside, right?
100%.
But then your opponent gives you an opening because the pickup from the Prosperity was the Arianna, which he thought he could summon, but obviously the normal summon was spent on the Sphere Mode.
I've definitely done that with Lava Golem, I'm just gonna be honest, that's 100% something that you just forget on these like little minor restrictions. There's conditions here, there's restrictions here, there's locks in here, you're only restricted to this summon, etc. So we'll
but yeah, absolutely. What I think we can do in the meantime is let's go through what's happening at the same time in the other tables. So let's bring up on the screen for you guys the bracket, and this is the top 32 bracket. As we can see, anything surprising you guys? So we had obviously an Italian matchup with Marco Parenti and
that what surprised
Ricca.
you?
I guess so, slightly. I mean, no, but the Ricca deck obviously in there with Marco. And on the other end, we have some other familiar names. Mario, another Italian player, lost. And so we didn't have another, top 16 all-Italian battle, I guess.
We've got a Worlds competitor in there, Lorenzo Roma, classic from 2015, I want to say Roma went to Worlds.
At the same time, Ryan Jabri got kicked out. So what a surprise. Unfortunately, he was also one of those players at the playoff, but he got kicked out in top 32. Oliver Newton, former UK national champion, right?
National champion, with...
Alter, guys, what was it?
Was it twice? I think he was a 2-time champion.
Really?
He definitely won.
Oh, yeah, I think so
I think he won once with Satellanite.
He might be a 2-time champion, which is crazy, And on the other side of the bracket, though, as we move on, we have some other incredible names. Obviously, Gabriel Netz, really consistent throughout the season. Same can be said for Christian Thomas, but another shocker, and another shocker for the French community. Gabriel Soucy was knocked out. Another one of those players coming from the playoffs. But I think he's slightly less concerned, considering he's one of those 3 who already managed to lock in his World Championship qualification. But moving on, obviously, the first is the match we just are witnessing. On the other side, though, we are gonna see the one between Petros and the Ruin, which is obviously also both players we have featured already during the weekend. So interesting to see that. Maybe we are bringing them good luck. I guess the future match charm.
Was Petros on the machine deck?
Yeah. And I think, he absolutely crushing it with what is, I think, the most by far the underdog deck, we could say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was... we thought like Ricca was the sort of, peripheral meta deck, but I mean, to bring Infinitrack and get this far, absolutely impressive.
Crazy. But as we can see here, Jessica is still in the top 16. Amazing stuff. So at least 2 Ricca decks still in the top 16. But the highlight also is Jonas Koschel, locked in for the World Championship from the playoffs, is still in the top 16, ruining some dreams, I guess, of the other players. But what can you do? And also, it's important to mention, he had the courage of switching decks. He switched from the Live Twin Sprite deck, the Runic deck, to Labyrinth of his own. So, really interesting choice to just switch decks after you qualify. I guess he just wanted to have more fun.
I don't think it's interesting. I think that is the ultimate flex to show up and win
you
a
win
world
with a deck,
spot.
and then you go with another one.
He gets to take 2 decks to worlds.
That's crazy. Yeah, that would be crazy. And absolutely, as you can see, there are still a lot of amazing players, a lot of different decks in the top 16, as they will battle it out to lock a spot in the top 8. And from there on, It's basically 4 deciders matches for who goes to the World Championship, which honestly has been a while, and that's just amazing, amazing, amazing. I think it's, as our friends called it, the match of your life. That's what can happen, and it's true, honestly. I speak from experience. The World Championship is just such a unique environment. You have one of the only players who have come from all over the world. But now to focus back on our match, as unfortunately we expected, Joo was awarded a game loss for the second warning, PA minor upgraded, and so we are heading into game number 3, where hopefully they will now lose some tension and really focus on what to do to achieve it. What do you think he is gonna bring in for his side deck for this one going first?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, it must be so heartbreaking to get that far ahead, especially, you know, David didn't open very well. Joo Ho has the sphere mode. You feel like you're in such a good position here. You know, you can almost feel you know, and then to make a couple of minor errors like that to result in a game loss must be absolutely devastating. But this is, again, where the mental game comes in. You have to take each game as it comes, ignore the rest. You've come this far. Let's get to game 3. And talk about bringing in some very powerful cards in this matchup potentially.
Totally agree.
First.
At the same time, we gotta mention, although it can be frustrating, that game was probably going David's way at that point, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I mean, that obviously leaves some room for discussion. But as we mentioned now, Joo going first, and I see a lot of peculiar one-offs in his side deck, right?
Is there a thrust? Is that why? No, we just like the one-offs, I guess.
No, because we can search them with the deck, with the combos,
with the trap
you know,
cards,
with the lady. With the lady, you can just set them up, and he's playing the 1 clock. So with the 2 clock, what you can do is go first and just go for, you know, the Eradicator, or in his case, the full force virus as well. But I'm thinking Eradicator is the one you go against Runic, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, also, if he really feels like would also side in the Solemn Judgments going first.
I think that feels mandatory,
so
right, to bring in
well,
judgments.
And there are still 22 minutes remaining, which means Solemn Judgment is totally justifiable.
Do you think you can still keep sphere mode in your main, despite going first?
I don't feel comfortable doing that.
I just think maybe without a battle phase, if they play through your trap cards and make a setup, it might be worth.
It could be, but the problem is going first with 5 cards. If one of them is fear mode, you're playing with 4, you're really risking it, especially in a grind game.
But there's a lot of good tools in his main deck already. You know, the skill drain goes in as we saw in game 1, but also Daruma Cannon is not too bad.
Absolutely, Daruma is a great card, great tool, but it seems as if our duelists are ready. So let's find out in game 3 who it will be that advances to the top 8.
All right, we are in game 3, the final duel of this top 16 matchup. Who will advance one step closer to the World Championship into top 8? David Erpen versus Joo Ho A in this match here. And Joo Ho will, of course, be electing to go first with a Prosperity. Very strong start here. Do we see an Ash Blossom come down?
Doesn't seem like it, so we see a lot of different options already.
Good choices
Wow.
all around.
I like
Good
them
choices
all.
all around.
I like them all. Give them all to me.
Oh, goes for the Lord. Okay.
Wow.
All right, so Joo Ho must have quite a heavy back row hand here to be able to pick up this Lord here with a protection effect. All of your set cards cannot be destroyed by card effects.
Oh, wow. Full combo. Full combo this time around. And we could see an Eradicator as soon as the draw phase, potentially, depending on what he has face down.
Yeah, it's the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, incredible card here. Big support for control/stun decks with the ability to drain your opponent and protect it.
Crazy.
Protect the set cards from being destroyed here.
But
Chain
there is the destruction.
Do we have Judgment?
Oh,
There it is!
We
Solemn
do.
Judgment has come
Wow.
down here. Half of the life points being paid here. I think I would pay 7,999 life points at this stage.
Fair
Incredible.
enough.
Actually, no, because skill drain cost 1,000, that wouldn't really work. Anyway. Yeah, no, Judgment protects the skill drain from the runic destruction. Do you get to Lord on resolution? Or you can probably just hold it anyway if you have another
you
card.
can, but you can hold it as mentioned, because now you are protecting your other face downs at the moment, depending what you have. But this is a brutal start of this game. 3 from Joo.
Yeah, I think if there's a big welcome back there as well, it's really strong. So skill drain, very, very difficult card for this deck to handle. Looked like we just went for a Sprite Blue. Just checking our extra deck first.
I think what's happening is also they're clarifying whether a second copy, if it sees in the end, can be activated, and that's totally the case. The activation was negated, so if David has a second Runic Destruction, he can just use it now. So
yep,
that's
very
totally
important
fine.
Nuances in modern Yu-Gi-Oh for people to pay attention to. Negating activations and negating effects are different.
Yep.
A lot of cards you'll see in Yu-Gi-Oh will say you can only use this card once per turn, and some cards will say you can only activate this card once per turn. If you negate the effect of a card that says activate, then you can't use a second one, but if a card has its activation negated, then you can use a second one.
And here we see a Sprite Blue, obviously not really using the effect. Wow! And it goes, that is indeed full combo. Yeah.
This is even better than game 1.
This is, yeah, this is pick your hand territory, right? Judgment, Drain goes in, Lord,
Heavenly, and another one.
Yeah, no, we just need a Labyrinth card, I suppose.
Which, by the way, if we haven't special summoned it, I'm assuming that's a card
there's another set.
Use.
Yeah. All right, wow.
This does not really matter.
Pokes for 11 though. I mean, that's if we did have a big welcome, maybe would have been worth chump blocking, but doesn't seem like it. All the way down to 2,400 life points.
It is a big welcome. So
there it is.
did he end this turn? Oh, and there is a
Ghost Bell. That's
and
huge.
This is huge because Ghost Bell negates activation, and this could be another huge misstep by Joo if he doesn't top deck into anything. He cannot use the Heavenly, which he could have used before. Wow, this is a huge risk, and he does not. Probably picks up an Arianna, but wow.
All right.
This is coming down to
Just
the wire.
A set card here, 2,400 life points, deadly low, but in full control of the field for the most part here. But yeah, we're gonna have to try and eventually see some engine very, very soon, because David is just one top deck away from a tip, a destruction, or even any potential side deck cards brought into this matchup here.
The thing is, you can just go for life points damage at this point. Only 2,400 left. And yeah.
I don't think you attack the set card, right?
I mean,
oh, he goes for it. Okay.
Could, and yeah, it's Nash.
Loss. There it is. 1,800 defense, 700 damage.
Which,
so
just imagine it the other way around. I think, yeah, that could have been enough. Oof.
One set card in passing. Lord hides itself back again. Did we draw a card to set? Did we see another Prosperity? Lots of good top decks. No,
keeps the card in hand. Wow.
All right. Potentially a hand trap.
And now if we draw any monster, we can just make a fall go and attack over it, I guess. But if obviously they need with the goes and match restriction, it's tough to achieve such a thing. But
fall goes a dark, right?
Yeah, but the problem is
we're gonna need multiple.
Having 3 darks with different types, it's tough. Yeah. I mean, it's very unique situation. Oh, and I see a Nash and a Bell in the end from David.
Yeah, it's feeling kind of rough for Joo Ho to eventually get to a welcome. I'm not sure how consistent that's going to be. We're in for a long game 3 here, I feel.
Absolutely, and this would have been all over if he just activated the Heavenly on the Goes and Resolution.
Why do you think that was? Just holding as long as possible to just a bit greedy?
I think he was probably not thinking about Bell. It was like, if Ash was activated, he could have, for the same reason that you explained the difference between activate and use, he could have gone for that. But now he goes for the Rookie, which obviously
I think that's an illegal activation.
Yeah, so he should also get his own warning, I guess. Hopefully not an upgraded one as well.
Yeah, so I mean, you would hypothetically be able to do that and summon a different attribute if you had a target in your deck, but I don't think there's any dark for hires. You could have went for that. All right, well, this is a real nail-biter here. There is so much at stake, and this has ground to a halt. This duel is in a stalemate right now. Both players not really capable of doing much. David Erpen sitting under those continuous trap cards, and Joo Ho unable to access any engine right now.
Yeah, and in the meantime, once again, I think we can go back to us while we wait for the decision.
Right, okay, we've got a little judge call there.
Wow, so as we are going through this game 3, obviously the tension is palpable as these duelists are giving it their all to give an advance to the top 8, where they will have a chance to play it in just a single match for the World Championship. And as the situation is, obviously we had an amazing start from Joo, who unfortunately was stopped in his track by a ghost bell that is actually pretty much made it to a kind of a stalemate in which neither of players are able to advance with additional end traps in the end from David with another Ash, a second bell, and a lot of ways to stop his opponent from playing. But a face down Ash saving Joo with his 1800 defense points, I guess. It's literally hanging on to this World Championship with that defense.
Both players just sitting here, you know, no options really available to him. You know, it's really top deck after top deck. And yeah, it's such a stressful situation here, especially now with an ongoing judge call. We'll keep you updated with that as information comes through.
Absolutely, because as we witnessed, unfortunately in game 2, Joo was upgraded to a game loss, and that's how he lost the second game. But now the situation is reversed, and it's unfortunately David who lost to that play. What happened unfortunately was, as we saw, that he activated his own runic card, or rather, sorry, the runic rookie Furier, when he couldn't due to the Gozen match. And unfortunately, he also had a previous warning, which was just upgraded by the judge to a game lost. Sometimes
it must be said, it's disappointing to see when a stream match ends like that, but the rules are the rules, and the tournament policy is in place for a reason.
And that's how it is. And to be fair, at the same time, although obviously for the show that's not the best part, I gotta say it's fair, because the same exact penalty happened in game 2, so it would have been, I guess, doesn't make sense that the same didn't happen in game 3 on the opposite side. But yeah, that is the end of the top 16. It will be Joo advancing and pretty much just one step away from the unthinkable. Losing at the World Championship playoff on Friday, he made it all the way to another chance on the top 8.
And now he's just one game away from securing that spot there. I think at the at the playoffs, I think he went 3-2, not close enough. Not being able to, you know, catch those tiebreakers or play on a bubble match or anything like this. But now this is the bubble match. He's going to advance to that. And
I mean, very few players can make it all the way among the top 16 best players of the 2022-2023 season, and again the top 8 best players from the European Championship. Incredible achievement nonetheless. Kudos though to David for trying his best. Also incredible gameplay on his side. But this is the end of the top 16. Thank you guys, and obviously we will be on a short break, but when we are back we will be able to announce the top 8 players for the event, and we will go through each of them one by one. Thank you guys, and we'll be back real soon with more live action from Utrecht.